Hello, it's been a while. Thought I'd pop on. I'm going to I'm going to start trying to stream again. It's been over a year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and try some different bits and pieces out. Starting with the Retro Hour. Hi, Rob. Nice for you to join me. Rob and or Heather and or Monty. Great to see you. So I was at a computer exhibition thing near Norwich a few weeks ago and found out that the humble Xbox 360 that didn't come out, well, in my mind, didn't come out that long ago, is now considered retro. Whereas in my garage, I have a load of tat that is definitely considered sort of old, sort of retro kind of stuff. So I thought, I'll dig some of it out, look at some games and stuff that I played as a child, look at some magazines and stuff and see as a thing we could do to try streaming again. Rob, just saying, just me, I'm waiting for a student to join my Zoom lesson. You'll have to lurk soon. Oh, that's fine. This was purely like on a whim. I just sort of decided it's been too long. Well, I think what happened is when Valentine's Day rolled around last year was the last time that I streamed, and I was like, I should probably, at least start. I'm not expecting anyone to watch this, but you're very welcome to be here, even if you're lurking, Robert. Much appreciated. Hopefully some more people will join. I mean, I'm not tweeting this out or anything. This is purely let's give this a go, because it's been too long, and I think I got to the point where I was sort of I was like dreading it. It's like, I really like streaming, but I'm not really sure what I'm going to stream and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, so I'll start with the old, let's see if this works. So I've got, like I said, I've got like a load of tat in my garage, including this magazine that I thought was quite new, and it's actually a it's a magazine that's called Internet and Comms Today because it covers things that we had before the internet, called bulletin boards and things like that. So it's like and the screenshots from the internet. This is from 1995, by the way, and on the article it's like. On the front page, it's got a whole thing on the wonders of ISDN. Now, ISDN gives you a whole 64 kilobits per second of internet, which is actually so slow that BT, I think, are turning ISDN off next year. So that sort of thing. But there are sort of laughably basic, well, sort of, for anyone younger watching this, which I know there's nobody watching, but it's sort of... there are screenshots from websites, and they all have very grey backgrounds, and it looks like it literally feels like it's from the Stone Age. But we'll go through some of that. Hello, Electron Gap. Check out the article on parallel printer ports. Oh, I'll definitely do that. It's the pros and cons of parallel versus serial printer ports. Yeah, things like that. Things that we things that seemed important to us. Back in the day. So yeah, I was finding sadly my set of 80s computer magazines I threw in the bin or gave away or something in the 90s to make room, because I sort of, despite the fact I used to like hoard everything, I got rid of these for some reason. But luckily some kind soul kept copies and scanned them all in and uploaded them to the Internet Archive. So, like, computer magazines that I used to read when I was a child, and I mean pretty young, you can just look at on the internet. So, hopefully if I press this button, I found this page of adverts, and I'm mainly looking at this box down here, ZX81 games. Now, the Sinclair ZX81 was a computer that had a whole whopping 1 kilobyte of RAM. Your phone probably has, let's think, a really basic phone probably has, I don't know, 1,000,000 times more RAM than this. Like that's, this is from like the Sinclair ZX81 came out in 1981. But down the bottom here, I was quite amused by the fact that it hypes this up. 3D Monster Maze, only £4.95. Unbelievable graphics. Find the exit before the T-Rex gets you. All in 3D. You have never seen anything like this before. Absolutely amazing 3D graphics on a computer with, this needs 16 kilobytes of RAM because basically you would buy a box that would plug into the back of the computer and give you 16 times as much RAM. It's like unbelievable. But we'll have a look at that. And I've got my old school TV up and running here virtually. And the computer you see above my head is the ZX81, the little tiny thing with the horrible keyboard. But, we got by. And then hopefully, if I press the right button, the emulator will start. Come on. There we go. So this is this thing worked on. So it's quite hard to tell on the computer screenshot above, but each of the keys, like R, for example, has a keyword. So what you could do is you could save a load of time. So if I just type R, it would automatically give me the run command, for example. But what I need to do is I'm going to load the game that we just saw advertised, the 3D Monster Maze, because this was a game that I was given as a treat for being very good when I was like 7 or 8 years old, because I had I had my tonsils out, and my reward for being a brave boy was to have a copy of 3D Monster Maze, which I remember like looking through the cover art and reading it several times over while I was like in agony from having my mouth held open for a considerable amount of time while I was under local anaesthetic. And then when I got home, it was well, you'll see in a moment. Well, prepare. If you imagine an 8-year-old seeing this in 1982, this was amazing graphics for the time. Hopefully I'll remember to... Anyone there? Well, press something then. There's no sound, by the way. The ZX81 didn't have any sound, but there we go. Electron Gap says, when I had my tonsils out, I was force-fed beans by evil nurses until I vomed. Never eaten beans since. I was given the same thing with... I was put off fish and chips for a while. I had very crunchy fish and chips to eat. And it was it was agony to try and like eat this while whilst having the kind of jaw from having the painful jaw from doing that sort of thing. Okay, well, bless something then. And then we got this wonderful scrolling text to introduce the game. Roll up, roll up. See the amazing Tyrannosaurus Rex, king of the dinosaurs, in his lair. Perfectly preserved in silicon since prehistoric times. He is brought to you for your entertainment and exhilaration. If you dare to enter his lair, you do so at your own risk. The management accept no responsibility for the health and safety of the adventurer who enters his realm. The management advise that this is not a game for those of a nervous disposition. If you're in any doubt, then press stop. If instructions are needed to proceed, then press list. Otherwise, press continue. I'll display it in its full glory. Remember, this game has this computer has a whole 16 kilobytes of RAM, which is more. This entire game fits into more space or less space than your Google document. Continue. And what will happen then, it says, the mist of time will pass over you for about 30 seconds while transferring you to the lair of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Best of luck. Now, the reason that mists of time, and then at this point on the real computer, the screen would go black and a bit wibbly, because the ZX81 had a special mode called fast mode, which could run things a bit faster, but it would, in order to do that, it would turn the screen off. So you could do like processing in the background. So what this is doing is generating a three-dimensional maze. And here we are in the maze, and we can, if I remember the right buttons, I can rotate and I can walk forward. And as I'm moving forward, and I've been eaten by the Tyrannosaurus Rex. So we'll try that again. As you get close, oh no, I've done far worse than it uses ray tracing. Someone called Ray traces it in MS Paint. I mean, MS Paint was a hadn't been invented for some years before this. This was literally that Tyrannosaurus Rex. Somebody has had to write the graphics by hand. I seem to remember what used to happen is you had you'd end up with like, you could buy from W.H. Smith. You can, in W.H. Smith you could buy like pads of grid paper and things like that. There were like dedicated ZX81 graphics, printed sheets of paper that you could buy, and then you could color in the squares that you would then manually copy into the basic program or whatever you were using to generate these graphics. But this was, for quite a while on this computer, state of the art. This was like one of the best graphics in a game, and people were pretty amazed by how quickly it ran. And I'm going to try and I've done this I've played this quite a bit, and this is the only time after like playing this for like a dozen times earlier in the day, just to make sure that it was working, that the dinosaur is literally straight in front of you at the very start of the game, and it's no, I'm trying to, let me just try and get wait a minute. Right, so by the way, the cursors on the ZX81 were so that's left, that's right, forwards, and the score gets, and there is an exit that you're trying to get to, and the score goes up when you get closer to the exit. And at the moment, I'm not getting any further. I'm probably running in circles, trying to get to the exit of this map. And when I was doing this, when I was literally playing this by myself, I found the Electrocap says, first games I play were in QBasic, Snake, and two gorillas throwing bananas at each other by typing exciting angles. Yeah, a lot of the early games were, they had very minimal graphics, and then what would happen is the way the controls, unless it was like a game that gave you like up, down, left, and right kind of controls, it was very much like written by a maths teacher who kind of went, oh, well, we're just going to type in an angle and a velocity, and then we'll simulate where the thing went, but you're typing in numbers. And it was sort of quite, let me try again at not dying and not being eaten by a dinosaur here. Right, go this way. No, I'm making a complete mess of this because I'm trying to talk while I'm doing it. Trying to do this, and I've backed myself into a corner, and I'm getting eaten by the, yeah. As you can see, I mean, there's a whole, like, must be like 5 entire frames of animation. No, I don't, I have played this game, and you at least get some, when I've tried this before, you at least get some moments to, I'm going to restart the computer and load it again to create a new maze, and see if I get slightly, I get slightly better luck, similar luck to what I've. Unfortunately, you can't skip this because the disclaimer they need you to read because I don't know what I assume they weren't like genuinely assuming that you were going to be like utterly petrified by this graphics, but you know, I'm not sure. There were games that had incredibly, you know, less basic than this, but fairly basic, and they were banned for being like obscene. So you know, you never know. But I think this one, I think it's just for effect, really. I'm hoping this time that we'll have a bit more luck, and the maze won't have the Tyrannosaurus Rex literally being in a straight line in front of me, because that's kind of unfair. I mean, it has to be said that you can find the exit, and when I was at school, when I was very young, I could never find the exit, and it was only since I had another look at this game in later years that I realised that the score goes up the closer you are to the exit. I didn't get that, so I was sort of meandering around. You're going to have 3 frames per second nightmares. Yeah, probably. Oh no, I need to go. No. Mostly, I'm getting in a muddle because of the keys are weird. So on the ZX81 computer, the cursors were like on the number pad at the top. So I think it's like so when you're watching me sort of being bad at this, it's 7 is forwards, and 8 is 8 and 5 are left and right, and I seem to be, the score's going up, so I'm hoping. Come on, no, I backed myself into a corner. No, and then you panic, which is kind of half the fun, because you kind of you panic, and then is it VR? I mean, it's a VR for 1982. Which I believe, you know, I'm not exactly sure when this game came out, but I've literally found, I'm assuming sort of 81, 82, just simply because of this this magazine here from 1982 that sort of goes, is advertising it. So yeah, so I'm assuming 1981 this came out because, it's 1981 because the computer came out in 1981. This magazine is from January 1982. So yeah, I'm not actually sure when exactly it came out. I was trying before I went live to find the actual, like, whether there was a magazine review. There were lots of people in like later magazines praising its existence because it wasn't really beaten for several years, and I think now the only games that had slightly better graphics, if you know, are ones that are written by people today, knowing, you know, with the benefit of hindsight, and also everyone knows exactly how to. Well, we have the internet now, which means that if somebody else has some knowledge that you need in order to exploit to get better graphics and things like that, then it's out there, rather than you having to sort of, I don't know how you would do that. You'd probably, back in the day, you know, find some technique to make the graphics faster, and you'd write a letter to the magazine, and then 3 months later, if you're lucky, they might publish it in the magazine, and you publish, and then you'd sort of say, oh, well, get in touch, and then they'd either like list your home address for them to send a letter to, or you would send it to the magazine and they'd send it on or something. It was very, really like improbable that the knowledge would get shared. I mean, there would be a case of there would probably be depending on whether there was like a particularly nerdy teacher in a school, there might be like evening classes or like a user group or something like that that would have some stuff. But yeah, so it's yeah. I don't know what I'm going to say now. But yeah, that's that's 3D Monster Maze that was published in 1981 sometime. And these are all. It was only. Yeah, most of these games are like self-published. So these were literally people in their homes just sort of writing something on the computer themselves, and then, you know, at the very basic, just saving the Shona Bear. Hello there. How dare you stream when I'm at work and can't watch? Well, I had to, you know, I apologise for that. Hello, Shona Bear. Nice for you to join me. I'm sorry that you're at work. This is just a thing that I was kind of expecting. No, I deliberately did not advertise this because I just need to stream and get sort of back on the bandwagon and do some random things. You've got an ear in, but the director is milling about. Ah, yeah. You have loyal followers. I appreciate that. I just wanted to kind of go, I'm going to try a thing, see how it turns out. And then, you know, at least it gets me back streaming again, hopefully, rather than sort of worrying unnecessarily, like when's the best time to stream or being in the right mood or things like that. I thought I'll just start. I won't tell anyone other than, you know, the live announcements that Twitch pushes out. You know. Shona says, hope you're well, Leaky. Yes, I am. Thank you very much. And of course, well wishes for the election, Ron. Yes, because we all should electron gap. Okay, well, I'm going to try something else. I'm going to go a bit newer. With a game that I had on this computer here, which is the Amstrad, yes, the the computer from Alan Sugar. Sorry, Lord Sugar. Sorry, Alan Sugar. And this thing is. So we're all familiar with the game Grand Theft Auto. This isn't it, but this is like the game that probably can be traced back. Grand Theft Auto can maybe be traced back from. There are a lot of people who have said that this game, which is Turbo Esprit, which I owned on the on this Amstrad CPC thing here, which you know had 64 kilobytes of RAM and color and sound, which is like a massive step up. I must admit, this was a computer that I had. I had a computer between the ZX81 and this one, and I've actually still got the thing, so I can actually plug it in and make it work at some point. But that's one for the future. Another thing for people who weren't alive in the 80s, when I loaded up 3D Monster Maze earlier, it's because it's running on an emulator, it loads just immediately. Whereas what we would be doing in the 80s is trying desperately to load it from a cassette tape. And that game, all of it would load in 10 minutes. Well, it would try and load in 10 minutes, and it will probably fail, and you have to try again. But anyway, I'm going to just give me a second, and I'm just going to start this game up. That's called Turbo Esprit. And it is a game where you're trying to, let me load it into this emulator. There we go. And hopefully there's sound in a second. It's set in the UK, and the city that it's based on is, yeah, High Ham, Heatherset, Charlton, or Leafield, and I have no idea. I think they're, you know, some of these names seem familiar, but they're not. But I'm just going to go over higher. That's very loud. I'm just going to turn that down. I apologise if that it blew your ears out. Like a lot of these games, you can't turn the music up and down. It was one volume, and that's your lot. So hopefully that's not too loud. Electron Gap says, I loved a game called Dangerous Dave. What was Dangerous Dave all about? 8 bits of your ears have gone. I apologise. I must admit I had the volume way down earlier and then turned it back up again for some reason and forgot. I don't know why I did that. I apologise for your ears. So this game, you're driving around in a car, a Lotus Esprit, I would assume from the name, but I don't. I think they got the official from the cover art. I think they got the official license from Lotus. I'm not sure. Licenses were a bit weird at that time. They weren't like, because games weren't a big thing really. Let's have a look. Apparently, Dangerous Dave was a 2D platformer with annoying sound, a really bad Mario ripoff. Okay. So this is the game, and I will show it in all its glory. So it's a weird one. We can see our steering wheel in front of us, and that's mostly there to make the graphics go faster because the graphics take only half the screen. And what we're trying to do focus on the right window when I do that, then everything will work. Let me focus on the actual game, and then when I press the S key, it doesn't change scenes on OBS. That was good. So here I am. I'm driving my car. I'm the red car on the screen, and the white car that's is the hit car, which is the car I'm trying to. They've got drugs and they're running with their drugs, and I think they just turned right. So I'm going to just turn right here, and hopefully they're this way. And I haven't just. So it's reasonably fluid graphics for the time. They've disappeared. That's good. Yeah, it's basically GTA. Oh, apart from the fact it's set in the UK, so driving on the right hand side without like paying attention is probably a bad idea. So there's a few pedestrians. There's cars belonging to regular people. You can drive around the city, and then you can turn left and right. Don't know why there's suddenly no sound. There should be some. Oh, there we go. Oh, that was it. Okay, that's useful. So the title music was super, super, super loud. But now I've done that. Oh, let me just back out. Yeah, kind of it's kind of like early Google Street View from the looks of things. Let me. Oh dear. I've made a mess of this. I used to be really good at this. Actually, no, I tell a lie. I was never particularly good at this. Let me turn around, and yeah, so I'm the red car on the screen. There are traffic lights, and I can shoot people with my gun. See if your house is there. I mean, I don't know quite how you'd spot your house if it was here in this fictional land. Let me have a look. And there we go. So what you're trying to do, so what happens is at the bottom of the screen it says, so it says drug car seen on E14. And E14, there's a map here, and you can scroll the map, and you can sort of go, E14 is all the way up here. So somewhere on E14 there'll be a road, probably. Oh, there we go. That's the car there. Coming along there, and of course, while I was looking at the map, the game doesn't stop, so I just smashed at full speed into a wall because that's the kind of pro streamer I am. Let's Yeah, it would take ages to get from yours from there. Yeah, for sure. Let's have a look. So actually, that's okay. So that's me heading north and try not to shoot anyone. And for some reason, they decided that having a fuel gauge was actually fun. So this game actually has petrol stations that you have to refill at, because, you know, apparently that's an essential part of these games. So there we go. That was the petrol station. That was that weird sort of cube thing that we just... and I need to slow down. No, not speed up. No, that was I pressed the wrong button. Again, the controls are weird. It's J and L for left and right, and then faster and slower are S and A, which I think probably made more sense on the Amstrad keyboard. I can't be sure. Probably not. But it is, and then you have to sort of do a combination of holding down K and pressing either J or L to turn rather than move your car. So normally the left and right moves your car, like sort of strafes it, changes lanes in a regular road, whereas holding K allows you to do a 90-degree turn a la Knight Rider. However, I am now stuck because I can't move forward because there's a car that's decided just to stick there, and now I've caused a traffic jam. There's literally nothing. I'm stuck, and I'm not actually sure how to. It's actually the other way around. A for accelerate and S for slow, I think, is probably how they call it. But yeah, as you can tell, I've boxed myself in. I'm not actually sure how to. Let me have a look at the instruction manual and see whether I can find the T for terminate game and restart. I think that's what I'm going to have to do, because I've caused a... And now the drugs are being exchanged. Because what happens is I think what happens is you have like the car that's like a white car with red windows is the hit car. And I'm trying to remember. There's a hit car that is like a car that's going around trying to take you down to stop you ruining the drug exchange. And then there's like a couple of cars that are trying to exchange the drugs. And then once they're exchanged, the car that takes the drugs off the map. Can you get me some while you're there? No, don't do drugs, kids. Right. Oh, apart from the fact, yep. Let me. I literally loaded it. I literally got this running just before the stream, and I'm kind of regretting it now. But there we go. At least now I know to slow down. No. Apparently you were actually right, Electron Gap. S is accelerate. Enter your name for the penalty table, because I did so badly. And there's the annoying loud music again. So let me turn that down again. And we'll ignore the... Okay. I don't know what the music... Armoured car, there you go. There's a... I should probably actually just look at the manual. Let's just hang a minute. It's... Or actually look at the... Look at the wonderful box art on this, which is that one. So here is the an armoured supply car is carrying drugs to the centre of the city. One after the other, 4 delivery cars will drive in to meet it and then drive off to their hideaways. After the 4th pickup, the armoured supply car will leave the city. Your mission is to stop the delivery cars after they have made their pickup and before they disappear in their hideaways, and to stop the armoured supply car after it has passed its drugs to the last car and before it leaves the city. You will score extra points for catching the drug smugglers alive rather than shooting them. Oh, okay. Your vehicle will be a Lotus Turbo Esprit, capable of driving at 150 miles an hour into a wall. There will be traffic lights at junctions, which should be obeyed, though the smugglers will probably ignore them. There are pedestrian crossings where people will have the right to cross, and there are roadworks that you'll have to avoid. Drive well, drive carefully. So this game is from 1985, from the copyright message, anyway. Yeah. So I'm being kind of bad at this. So yeah, okay. So S is go faster, A is go slower, and then if I press A again, it goes backwards. So it's a fully automatic Lotus Turbo Esprit. And then I'm just that car. I mean, it may just because I hesitated, but I swear that car just turned right in front of me. This is before dash cams. I can't sort of post it on YouTube, which doesn't yet exist either. Yes, Electron Gaps. Don't do kids. I mean drugs or kids. Don't do anything. Yeah, that's rules to live by, I think. And I've stopped. I didn't crash. Didn't crash. Everything's fine. Now I'm stopping at traffic lights. I feel like I'm like in the real world now. Come on. Come on, traffic lights. Come on, traffic lights. There's nobody coming the other side. And red, white, white. I'm going this way. I don't know why. I've just decided I'm going this way. Yeah, I feel like probably what I did in the past is found one of the cars or one of the drug cars, shot the drug car or rammed it off the road, and then kind of got bored because it takes quite a while of finding where you're going. And I think I was 9 when this game came out, so I feel like, well, 9 with undiagnosed ADHD, so, you know, goodness knows that I had the attention span for this thing. How's everyone's day going, by the way? I say everyone. I'm apparently got 2 viewers, but, you know, I'm quite pleased with that. Looks like Birmingham. I mean, it's fairly concrete. It's fairly grey. Ah. I think the hit car is like the one that's trying to... No, come here. I think the hit car is the one that's trying to like run me off the road, but I'm going to... No. Don't drive into the wall. I've lost it again. Well, no, I don't know what. This is the only problem. The game doesn't pause when you're looking at the map, which I feel is quite dangerous because sat navs haven't been invented. No. Everything's gone wrong. I've hit everything. Right. And go to the left and forward and no. It's all gone wrong. And I've ballsed it up now because I'm wedged between the traffic light and the yellow car behind me. So hopefully they'll move out the way and then no, come on. Let me right. Forwards and to the left. And we're back again. Here we go. Right. Avoid the roadworks. There's a big hole. Oh, the red car. I don't know what the significance of red car is. I really should have like read the instructions a bit more carefully, but there we go. But yeah, so that's That's Turbo Esprit. I'm showing you on this slightly rubbish looking TV. And then, yeah, what else can I show you? Oh yeah, I've got these apologize for the slightly blurry webcam. It was all I had to like rig up to the ceiling, and it's way too high up. But I couldn't. I realized that I bought this webcam to hang up from a tripod, and it doesn't have any screws to connect to a tripod, so that's a bit rubbish. So I'll sort this out if I do this again. But yeah, so I've got in here. I've got over here. I've got some old magazines and things. And of course now my microphone doesn't apparently hold up like that, but I don't know whether this is a good idea, whether this works. Oh, I know. I will not use the overhead cam. I will just hold it up. Hang on a sec. Because at least this cam actually works. So I've got here a book that I was given probably as a child, and it's called the Rainbow Computers and Electronics book, and as it says proudly at the bottom there, it says this edition was produced exclusively for W.H. Smith, with the ye olde W.H. Smith's logo there. Electron Gap says I use IV Cam, an app that lets me use old phones as wireless webcams. That's probably a good idea. I've got an old phone that I should probably use, and that might be a bit easier to rig up, and it will have slightly better camera. But it's got some brilliant illustrations here. You'll have to ignore the transparency caused by my green screen, but there we go. By the way, the thing down here, that's a video recorder for people who are watching. In fact, I feel like I need to explain a lot of these. That's the illustration of how a microwave oven works. That's the space shuttle, obviously. That's a 5 1/4 inch floppy disk. That's some magnetic tape, and that's some other sort of tape sort of thing for a computer, probably. And then on the back of here, I've got sort of a reel-to-reel cassette recorder, an 80s or a 70s illustration of what a robot is, a calculator, a radio, some sort of atom or something, maybe. Not sure. Probably should have looked it up beforehand, but, you know, there's lots of interesting things in here. And here is in an illustration here is a woman holding a video camera. The camera being this bit here, and then the box down there is the separate recorder for recording video to tape, which is but I've got like a whole, it's got sort of whole sort of section of things like talking to computers, the computer's heart and memory, counting in zeros and ones and things. It's a book for kids, but you know, it's quite fun. But the page I was mostly apparently Electron Gap says I saw Atlantis on the pad in 1997 when I went. Missed the launch though. Well, that was cool. But that was cool. Oh yeah, I'd always want to see one of the shuttle launches. Yeah, there's basically a whole in here. There's a whole like section about the future, which is always fun looking back. Let me just. Oh, I mean, this is probably apt for Electron Gap, seeing with electrons and how electron microscopes work. But I found it. I should have bookmarked it. Yeah, there was a page about the future. Maybe it's the back page. Bear with me a second. No, it's not the back page. It's just, it was one of these things where actually It was the page I just happened to land on when I opened the back page, and I thought, oh, that will be interesting. Oh, here we go. The home of the future. So see that picture with all those trains going into the future, and I'll read to you the amusing. It says the electronic home of the future may be in a tower as much as 3 kilometers high. This may be necessary because of the rapidly increasing world population. Hello, Duncan. Thanks for joining. Yeah, good evening. I'm going to, I think my plan is, well, there's no real plan, but my plan is to do hour-long short streams of various different things. So I'm doing some sort of, let's look at some retro tat today, and try different things and see what sort of people like, and then I'll stick to the thing that people enjoy most, I think. But yeah, so we're looking at this computers and electronics book from, I don't know, probably the 70s or the 80s that I had as a kid. It says, yeah, if population keeps on growing as they have in the past, we could have 10,000 million people by the year 2020. That sounds a lot. But there are signs that if the population slows down as people become richer and more educated, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so yeah. However, the number of people in the world will keep increasing, and the tower living, the 3-kilometer tower living that we're all used to today, of course, may be necessary. Existing tower materials such as reinforced concrete and glass could be used. Travel between tower cities could be between high-speed computer-controlled trains traveling through interconnecting tubes. Hello, Elon Musk, Hyperloop. Hello, Laura. Thank you for dropping by. Yeah, we're looking at I'm currently looking at an old magazine, and I found that one of the last chapters of this book literally says what we will be doing in the future of 2020, and we've got like some sort of microclimate in a tube. I think this is all about. Oh, here we go. Saving energy. The family house of the future will be almost certainly be designed to save as much energy as possible. Doesn't really sound old. Well, you know. I mean, yeah. I mean, this is pretty accurate. The computer will also act as the master electronic control program linked to screens in various rooms. On these screens can be displayed TV programs, electronic newspapers, any information you want from a vast central encyclopedic computer, education courses, books available in the local library, train times, weather reports, and so on. Mail would also be electronic. You simply type out a letter and dispatch it to an address. There, the letter goes into a memory store of your friend's computer, ready to recall at any time, or can be printed out straight away by the high-speed printer. The family's TV screen will be wall-sized, made possible by the development of a flat screen. Perhaps they will also have 3D color holography, which conjures up true three-dimensional images of actors or newsreaders in the corner of the room. Can you imagine having, yeah, sounds silly, Electron Gap says, don't want it. Yeah, I completely agree. But yeah, so I've got that. I've got a few of these sort of old books and things hanging around. I've also got, which I find sort of even stranger, because this is from 1985, which is a magazine all about the sort of internet and websites and things like that. But it feels like the Dark Ages. There's literally, well, actually, here we go. Here's the screenshot of a website. which is that one there. That grey. So it's an image, and it has an embedded audio file and then some text underneath it. And this was, back in the day where all websites had a grey background. There were no video because we were all using dial-up, so it was incredibly, downloading that image would probably take 30 seconds or a couple of minutes maybe. Duncan says, next they'll be saying that they want watch people remotely doing stuff on their computers. Nonsense. Electron Gat says, not HTTPS. Don't trust it. Yeah, HTTPS wasn't a thing when this magazine came out. I don't believe. Oh, sorry. This is an interesting one from a website that still exists. There's a thing down here that says games domain. One such link is to the homepage of Epic Mega Games. www.epicgames.com, one of the hottest shareware game companies around, which is responsible for classic favourites such as the Epic Pinball series, the superb beat-em-up One Must Fall, and the incomparable platformer Jazz Jackrabbit, which I don't think I've ever played. But yeah, so this is a magazine that just sort of lists. So it's sort of 50-50 between the information superhighway of the World Wide Web and going on about how wonderful it is and all that sort of thing. And then, so what happened is this magazine, slowly as it went on before it closed, obviously, it sort of transitioned slowly more and more until like websites and the internet, obviously. Whereas when it started, it was also bulletin boards, which were a way of getting email and downloading files and things before the internet. So there's a thing here, there's an article here about something called What's Hot in FidoNet. FidoNet was a worldwide network of bulletin boards. FidoNet is a loose confederation of bulletin boards. When you use your modem, which is a to dial into these things, you can basically the way it would work is you would send an email. So I want to send an email to my friend, and I know their email address, which is a strange combination of numbers because .co.uk and that sort of thing are internet. So I know my friend's FidoNet address. So I dial up at what was a local call rate. So I think it was like around the time, it was probably, I'd like to say 10 pence per minute off peak, which was, and considerably more peak time. So it's sort of like in the evening, I'd be dialing into a computer, and whilst connected to that computer, I could create my email, all whilst the 10p a minute was ticking up. I would then put the address in and hit send, and it wouldn't immediately go to my friend on the other side of the world, for example. What would happen is I'd then hang up and I'd go about my day. At 2 in the morning, the computer I dialed into would then dial into the computer, the sort of bigger computer that sort of kept all the emails. And then that computer would then dial into another computer further up the chain. And then it would eventually dial into a central computer that would sort of go, I'm managing all the, I have the ability that from my computer to reach, I've got a long distance connection on my computer, and I'm going to go to America. And then that would then dial into another computer, and literally say 2 or 3 days later, your friend would get the email that you sent, and then they'd send a reply. Time to use a horse, says Laura. Lolo Frosty. Yes, it does sound a bit like that. But it was sort of really interesting to get an email, even if at the time I mean, it was still way quicker than like waiting for airmail or something like that to be sent to a friend in another country. As Duncan points out, waiting for my mother to go to bed so I could use the internet and take over the phone line. Yeah. When I say dial up, this was dialing a phone number with a special box called a modem that would allow your computer to talk to another computer over the phone line, which is kind of sort of like a really slow version of what you do now with your broadband router. But it would use the same phone line as your voice calls, your landline. So if you were dialed up trying to send email and somebody picked up the phone line, they'd hear a horrible squawking computer sound and mess up your connection. So this was a thing. It also made, because I used to work in the early days, I worked for an internet service provider doing dial-up, which was super complicated to do. Because what you do now, I haven't done some tech support for internet. It's sort of you can talk people through what they're seeing to connect. It's like, oh well, just open your routers page, and obviously that's more complicated than that sort of thing. Or you take remote control and kind of run it for them or something like that. But you kind of go, okay, we're going to see, show me what username and password you've typed in and all this sort of thing. Okay, now hit connect and you dial up. But nobody had, phone lines were really expensive. The line rental was quite expensive. So most people had one phone line they'd share between voice calls and internet. So what would happen, you'd phone up tech support saying, I need to, connect to the internet. And I say, what's your username and password? And then I say, okay, here's the username and password. Okay, this should be working now. Now you need to hang up the phone, try it, make a note of any error messages that happened while it happened, while you were trying to connect. Phone me back, tell me what the error messages were, and then I'll try the next step and the next step and things like that. And there's so a lot of Frosty says, yeah, I've heard about dial-up. Yeah, it does sound like, it sounds like something out of the Flintstones. It's sort of so archaic now when we're sort of quite happily watching like 4K video streamed from Netflix. Just seems ridiculous that you would be like, it would be so slow. And I mean, when I was dialing up to, the first modem I had was 2,400 baud, which is around about 200 characters per second or 200 bytes a second, I think. I think I've got that right. 200 bytes, so that's 0.2 of a K of, per second, which is, I think I added it up and it was like how much it would cost to download a film. It sounds kind of cool, but once again, I just talked to my older parents. Took ages to download 4K, literally the 4-letter Ks. Yeah. And a good chunk of that, says Duncan, was error correction because the phone line, well, it's a bit better now, but the phone line wasn't really designed for data. So yeah, it was a lot slower than I think. But if you've ever seen the Simpsons episode where, probably from back in the first season when it was good, when Homer decides to become like an internet expert, and I think he has a website called like Compute Global Meganet, and he has a banner ad that downloads, and it's literally sort of going like this, popping on the screen like really, really slowly. That was the internet. It was literally so slow. When I, in the mid-late 90s, I was a web designer, and we put an absolute hard limit of 40 kilobytes. And that was really, really pushing the boat out. That was sort of, Homer, oh geez, yeah. Homer had an internet company in one of these episodes. But there we go. But yeah, so I'm what I've decided to do is kind of keep these. Rob says, okay, your lesson is finished. You can unlock. Unfortunately, what I'm doing with this stream is I'm, rather than sort of waffling on for ages, I'm going to do like an hour at a time, because I think what really happened was I sort of tried to do too much and sort of wore myself out. But anyway, so I'm going to like end it here for now, but I will be back. This has been kind of fun, slightly chaotic. Electrogut says, I only had that free FS net where you had an hour and then had to hang up, just not enough time to download an MP3 that got cancelled and had to start again. So yeah, Duncan, thank you very much for the follow. I mean, to be fair, Duncan, this has been my first stream for like over a year, so it's not like thing. Rob says, okay, I won't take it personally or anything. Well, that's appreciated. It's just what I tended to do is I ended up like streaming for like 2 or 3 or 4 hours at a time, and it was just I found it quite exhausting. So what I'm going to do is, at least while I kind of figure out what I want to do on these streams, I'm going to try like a few different things, I think, and see what sticks. I'm going to like try and stick around do an hour and then regroup and see what happens. But I really appreciate you all popping by on this completely unannounced stream. And thank you, Duncan, for following. And yeah, I need breaks, exactly. So what I'm going to do is my very good friend, Jo, is, I believe, streaming now. So we're going to raid Jo. She's playing a game in a kind of pixel art retro style, so it seems sort of suitable for the kind of stream we've been having, and hopefully I can press a button and it will allow me to raid, because I've never done this before. But hopefully, if I press this button, it will raid. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me, and hopefully, if I do that, that'll do something. Hang on a sec. Did that do anything? Did that do anything? I'm not sure. Hang on a minute. Let me just hang on a sec. Yeah, anytime, Laura. I'm just watching my own stream. The raid thing didn't work, so let me just do raid. I don't know what I'm doing. There we go. There we go. We're now raiding four of us. But yeah, join the raid and say hello to my friend Jo. Poke that stream deck. It's saying it's going. We're going to raid now. I'll see you all soon. Bye.